East Asia is a geographic area which has grown rapidly in importance over the last few decades. After learning about many nation-states which exist in this part of the globe, many people would say that the most confusing situation involves Taiwan, which is commonly called an abnormal country, international orphan, non-sovereign entity, outcast, and even a pariah. How can we decide what Taiwan's correct place in the world order should be? Nearly 6 months ago, our editors hired a group of consultants to review scholarly papers and books on Taiwan, both in English and Chinese. In the end, over 80 papers, 100 internet articles, and 36 books were reviewed. We also looked at a large number of newspaper reports from the last decade. Our goal was to try and summarize all this data and present some solid conclusions. Unfortunately, however, we found that such a project was impossible to complete. This was because the more data we viewed in this, the more we found that it was filled with errors. Those errors crossed a wide spectrum from legal, historical, and cultural issues to the spheres of politics, geography, sociology, and so on. With that realization, we decided to change our goals and instead to produce a series describing the commonly seen mistakes that our consultants have noted. In the future, we believe if all relevant researchers, commentators, and editors could consciously strive to avoid these mistakes when writing or commenting on Taiwan, the quality of the reporting, research, and analysis would be much improved. We hope that all interested in Taiwanese affairs will pay special attention to the content of these videos.
2016 is an election year in the United States. The elections include 34 seats in the Senate, 435 seats in the House, and another seat in the Oval Office. The candidates will certainly argue about their views on foreign affairs and many other issues. In regard to Asian affairs, the United States' relationship with Taiwan is sure to be a hot topic. Important items for debate are Taiwan's defensive needs, Taiwan's current governance structure, and whether Taiwan should play a larger role in the pivot to Asia policy of the United States. Unfortunately, many people do not have a firm grasp of Taiwan's legal fundamentals. They are confused by all this talk of Taiwan's undetermined legal status. In order to remedy this situation, our Asian correspondents have put together a series on commonly seen mistakes when discussing the legal status of Taiwan. Please stay tuned for Part 1.
Commonly Seen Mistakes, Part 1.
The Japanese surrender ceremonies of October 25, 1945 marked the conclusion of World War II in the Pacific, and Japanese sovereignty over Taiwan ended.
The surrender does not mark the end of the war, but only the end of hostilities. The date when Japanese sovereignty over Taiwan ended and when the war was officially over was April 28, 1952, when the San Francisco Peace Treaty came into effect. In other words, the general rule is that the state of war continues until some sort of formal peace arrangement is made. Without recognition of this fact, the issues of when military occupation begins and when it ends, the effective dates for any cessions of territory and transfer of territorial sovereignty, when the nationality of the local populace becomes changed, etc., become subject to endless argument. Reading through dozens of reports on Taiwan history and legal issues, even those written by supposed experts in Asian affairs, we continually find this mistake regarding the recognition of the end of the war.
We must seriously recommend that all persons interested in talking about Taiwan's legal status first spend some time researching military law and the laws of war of the post-Napoleonic period.
Taiwan's legal status in the modern era is directly related to the entire period of World War II in the Pacific, and those persons who only have expertise in civilian legal issues continually fail to see the whole picture.
The transfer of Taiwan's territorial sovereignty to China was completed via the holding of formal Japanese surrender ceremonies in Taipei.
The Japanese surrender ceremonies in Taiwan on October 25, 1945, only marked the beginning of the military occupation. International law specifies that military occupation does not transfer sovereignty. We may ask, what is the legal status of occupied territory?
It is convenient to answer this question by saying that occupied territory has not reached a final political status. Therefore, we must postulate that military occupation is a period of interim status.
Another question might be, is there any period of time after which the occupying forces may claim the territory as their own and assert a legal annexation? The answer is no. In the post-Napoleonic world, the transfer of territorial sovereignty can only be done by making the relevant specifications in a peace treaty. Despite large amounts of Chinese propaganda to the contrary, the Allies did not recognize any transfer of Taiwan's territorial sovereignty to China upon the October 25, 1945 surrender ceremonies in Taiwan. For more authoritative information on this aspect, see our videos. The Truth of October 25, 1945.
The Republic of China moved its central government to Taiwan in December 1949 and thus became the island's legal government.
World War II in the Pacific ended in late April 1952. Before this time, Taiwan was still sovereign Japanese territory. So we will want to ask, what was the situation in December 1949 when the Republic of China moved its central government to occupy Taiwan?
We can answer this straightforwardly. By moving its central government outside of Chinese national territory in December 1949, the Republic of China was, for all intents and purposes, fleeing into exile.
Hence, at that point, the Republic of China immediately became a government in exile. Many reporters and so-called Asian experts often say that the PRC and the ROC split amid civil war in 1949, and therefore China had been a divided nation since that time. Such an analysis totally ignores the technical legal details regarding the legal disposition of conquered territory, including the different stages of military occupation, the functioning of peace treaties, and the formation of exiled governments. At this point, we need to specifically make some comments concerning the important question of what are the international norms regarding how a government in exile can obtain full legitimacy in its current location of residence. In fact, international law does not recognize any procedures, courses of action, methods, or methodology whereby this can be accomplished. Hence, for the Republic of China to regain international legitimacy, it would have to move back to its former capital of Nanjing, China, and resume governance there. The chances of that happening are essentially zero.
Taiwan was awarded to China in the post-World War II peace treaties.
This point is fully explained in the Starr Memorandum of July 13, 1971, issued by the United States Department of State. Among other things, that memorandum clarifies,
technical sovereignty over Formosa and the Pescadores has never been settled. That is because the Japanese peace treaty merely involves a renunciation by Japan of its right and title to these islands. But the future title is not determined by the Japanese peace treaty, nor is it determined by the peace treaty which was concluded between the Republic of China and Japan.
When dealing with Taiwan, some people may ask why we always look to the statements and analysis of U.S. government officials, or why we consider U.S. officials' remarks to be authoritative. We can answer that question by asking another question, which is, why is the Japanese flag not flying over Taiwan today? The Japanese flag did not come down due to any actions of the Republic of China's armed forces. During the period of World War II in the Pacific, the record shows that the Republic of China military forces made no attacks against Taiwan or the 4 main Japanese islands whatsoever. All attacks were made by the military forces of the United States. Importantly, the act of conquest has given the United States a first tier or topmost jurisdiction over Taiwan territory. Effectively speaking, the Republic of China is merely acting as an agent for the United States in conducting the administration of Taiwan. Of course, Chinese history books always fail to mention such details as these.